This video was copyright struck by somebody who had a photo featured for 1 second. This is a re-upload without that photo. Unrealistic proportions. Head's too small, barely wearing any clothes. Too muscular, too thick. Tons of piercings, the metal is way too shiny. Unpractical, uncanny, and overproduced. This is the modern E-people syndrome, and it's on the verge of becoming a pandemic. Symptoms can start showing very quickly. You join an FBT lobby once and compare yourself to the avatars of everybody around you. It might be too late already.
Let's just go somewhere else.
But how did this happen? How did this disease start to infect us? And how come it already got to social platforms like IMVU, Second Life? God, even Final Fantasy XIV isn't safe from this pandemic. Monstrosities plague those lands now, and containment clearly never held. In order to find out how, we need to look back to see how we got here. "2004. Y2K just passed and the internet was getting bigger and bigger. The top album of the year was Usher's Confessions. The turn of the century brought computers more mainstream, and with it, chat rooms became something commonplace to find online. Add an avatar to represent yourself in these chat rooms, and we get a very early form of what so many platforms became. And two new players in the space made themselves known, doing just that: Second Life and IMVU. IMVU came out as a 13+ game that would allow you to customize your character in-game with clothes made by the community. Essentially, the creation process worked like this. You get a clay doll separated into individual parts. Those parts can be sculpted and textured to be whatever you want. Clothes added on top to make a complete avatar with your own custom look. It enables a lot more flexibility and creativity, as most outfits will be able to be placed on any body you choose. At its core, IMVU is a dress-up social game.
I've been using IMVU for over 11 years now. I've not really touched VRChat or Second Life. I've been creating products on IMVU for, I'd say, around 10 years. IMVU has a few categories: meshing, texturing, and animation. I myself specialize in mesh creation. Back when IMVU was created, 3ds Max was just about the only way to bring meshes into IMVU for the longest time. In 2026, Blender is now the main focus for IMVU mesh creation. IMVU has its own engine for importing the meshes into IMVU. I kind of compare it to Unity. It's a very bare bones version of Unity in that sense, but it does exactly what you need to do to get your products onto IMVU.
Second Life came out as a strictly 18+ game. The customization and creation process worked a little different than IMVU. Early on, there was no ability to edit the existing meshes. You were kind of stuck with the default options they gave you. You could customize your character a little bit, but it was closer to changing out colors and choosing slightly different styles. It was very primitive. This is still early days. Things were very bare bones. Nobody was truly aware of the creation process or what can be done, and that was represented by the quality of people's creations. Most people would just use whatever was available in the base game. The virus is dormant. A couple years have gone by and things have changed a lot very fast. It's 2007. Kids are playing RuneScape and Club Penguin, two games that will get them hooked into the social games world before they move on to something more adult later on. Well, maybe not RuneScape, but Club Penguin for sure. Those adult games like IMVU and Second Life, which have developed somewhat.
Everybody in Second Life is so beautiful. I decided to be a little bit outstanding in all this beautiness. I wanted to be a remarkable man.
With people getting more comfortable with the creation process, they've started to explore the possibilities these platforms have to offer. Second Life players have been stuck in their primitive system for a while, and their skills at manipulating what they can using textures have improved. People are able to change their look and outfits by baking their clothes into the textures. It's still pretty simplistic though, and nothing will change for a good while. IMVU, on the other hand, is a different beast entirely. With the ability to upload your own meshes and textures and individual parts, the options for customization as a player has exploded. But it's still rather simplistic. It's early days, the complex and stylistic bases haven't been made yet, and most clothing is quite normal. But some experimentation has taken root. The virus is stirring in its sleep.
Teach, what does this have to do with anything with VRChat?
Sorry, why? What does any of this have to do with VRChat? Well, consider it this way: everything in the world is connected. It may not seem like it at first glance, but if you zoom out enough, everything really is connected. And these three games are the same. We haven't gotten to it yet, but what really ties these three together, Second Life, IMVU, and VRChat, is that you can completely customize it down to, well, everything. The mesh, the texture, the animation. Whereas in other games online, you can't. And so you get these creators who gain these skill sets on these games that are then able to switch to the other games and continue using those skill sets to keep creating. And so when it comes to VRChat, a lot of the current creators that make for the game came from IMVU and Second Life. So the way those games developed has a big impact on VRChat.
Drop the podcast fucking diabolical. Your next hot bitch.
You came down in the wrong town.
Your mother. This is crazy.
So whose boat is this? Wow, it's very cool, isn't it? How on earth do we get on board?
This is pretty close. I'm risking this for the biscuit. Don't kill me. Come on, die. Yes! Gets in there. Right, that'll do for one trip, I think. Give me those chaos runes.
2011. It was a big year. The internet is mainstream now. The vast majority of houses have a home PC. And while the internet bubble has popped, the gaming scene has never been bigger.
Oh man, this is gonna be great. Princess Leia. Oh.
Skyrim just came out and people are already excited to see what the next Elder Scrolls game might be. Which is definitely happening, right? YouTube has become the most popular video website, and people are starting to upload their gaming content on it. And IMVU and Second Life are more popular now than ever before. Second Life introduced mesh technology, allowing people to upload their own meshes, finally bringing them to the table IMVU sat on for years already. You get a body, head, hair, eyes, individual accessories, and clothes made to fit on top of those specific bases. And then custom textures, normal maps, and alphas layered on top to make your avatar come together.
I played on and off from 2005 until 2018, and I was actively creating content for it between 2011 and 2015. In Second Life, they provide you like the base mesh and skeleton, and everything else is up to the creators to make sort of modular pieces. So it's very modular. You buy a head or hair from someone, even the clothes, and you assemble it together to make your own sort of unique avatar.
To me, it feels similar to what the modding scene has done to Skyrim. You get the default stuff for sure, but you can replace those default parts with creations made by other players to mix and match things into what you want.
At first, they were really fugly. The limitations of the platform made so that you couldn't really do much. Once there was the opportunity to actually make stuff for the game, it turned into like this hyper glam reflection of like early 2000s club culture, as well as like materialistic wealth. So everyone was like a chiseled Adonis or like a fashion model with absurdly long legs.
IMVU though hasn't changed much. More options of customization from more creators making for the platform is the extent of it. And with that, what you do notice is the style of a lot of avatars are starting to shift to more alternative looks, starting to adapt to the prevalent fashion of the time, and proportions are shifting to be more idealized. This is where it starts. The virus has awakened.
Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier and welcome to my brand new 400-part series on Goat Simulator.
No, masterpiece. It's not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
2015. Obama is nearing the end of his second term. The top album of the year was Adele's 25, and skinny jean fashion is at an all-time high. Most 90s kids are now graduated from high school. The same kids that have been playing online games and online social games for their whole life now, leading to an overall older player base of these games. Second Life has developed immensely in these years, with more tools put in the game every year to help creators make what they want and edit things in the game. Creativity and variety is at an all-time high. A subtle push in the player base has changed the way they make their avatars. The style has gone towards more realism in terms of appearance and proportions, and sexy in terms of clothes and fashion. I mean, it was always there, but it's definitely more prevalent now. People are left to their own devices to design their ideal look, and they have tried to make their ideal and ended up with something uncanny in a way. IMVU, on the other hand, has taken it a step further. The shift towards realism happened years earlier, but unlike Second Life, IMVU's audience is slightly younger, more influenced by niche groups, and the fashion choices people make are much more pronounced.
I can't speak on too much before I joined the platform. I joined in 2015. Everyone was, wearing the J-Rock, the rave, the punk outfits. I mean, that scene was just everywhere. It was hard to escape that, people being DJs and all the flashing lights in the rooms, the poofy hairstyles, those were everywhere. IMVU's actually always followed a lot of IRL fashion trends. If you kind of pick a point in time and kind of look what was in fashion or in style, it was probably trending on IMVU. It's always kind of been a reflection of that.
This is where we see the styles of e-boy and e-girl take over. There's also an unfortunate side effect of mixing and matching these different body parts to make a whole. Proportions have fallen apart. And as people get used to these proportions being wrong, it becomes a trend of its own. Now seeing somebody with stupidly long legs, tiny arms, or the reverse for men is not uncommon. The virus has evolved.
Crazy, mystical thing, and sometimes you just go out like a buster, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Ready? I miss the old mango, straight from the gold mango, the best of gold mango, read all the rose mango. I hate the new mango, but chew and lose mango, blustery cruise mango, drink all the booze mango.
No, I can't take it! I can't take it! Oh!
2018. Streaming is becoming very popular. Things are looking up in the world, and surely no massive pandemic is just on the horizon. Tesla just sent a Roadster into space, and the top album of the year is Drake's Scorpion. People still like Drake. Second Life and IMVU have entered a lull in terms of avatar aesthetics. The virus has fully integrated itself into the fabric of these games. It's a different strain in both, though.
It's changed. It's sort of, if they swung too far with the hyperglam stuff, because the player base is aging, it's actually kind of refined more in the middle. It's more grounded, so it's more influencer almost. Everyone's like their idealized self, like what they would wear in real life if they had the opportunity to.
In terms of development and quality, things are way better now than ever before. More and more creators are coming out of the woodworks as people grow up on computers, and more programs are popularized, making the creation process easier than ever. Higher fidelity, higher quality, higher resolution. Avatars have never looked better, but you can't remove that uncanny feeling you get from looking at them. There is a doll-like aesthetic that has taken root. Fashion and aesthetics being largely based around celebrity looks. The Kardashians, Instagram models, and Pinterest boards. There's subgroups in subgroups, so there is variation, but the established looks have taken root. And this aesthetic will affect anything else the existing creators in these games we'll touch in the future, like VRChat, a brand new VR-based social game that allows anyone and everyone to make whatever they please.
Look, I'm a lemon. I'm
Trusting your instincts, realize that knowing looks different to each. When there's vague, authentic, do more exploring, deeper than knowing just what is essential for life that is thriving. Go deep, mute out the chatter, feel it, burn off the fire, let go until there's peace to your core. Live a life you adore.
The creation process in VRChat is very similar to these other games in the sense that you can put together an avatar through a base, a head, hair, accessories, and then upload it as a set to make your own custom avatar. Or you can use an avatar somebody else has created in that fashion.
You're limited to whatever's possible in Unity, to be completely honest. So you have a base, you have clothes, you have hair, anything you want to assemble, as long as it compiles and imports, you're good to go.
Unlike Second Life and IMVU though, you have another level to the customization available. So long as your mesh is rigged, you can make whatever, in whatever shape or style you choose. You're not limited to a set base that they give you, which you can then customize. Which has led to early adapters of this game to not use an avatar similar to Second Life or IMVU at all, but instead something entirely different.
Yemski, you want to hear a joke?
Oh, tell me a joke.
Pulled me over and said freeze with a gun. He put a gun towards me and said freeze. I said, I never freeze. And then I walked away.
It's not just meme avatars though. Early adapters of VRChat came from a more anime-focused background, and that is represented in how they chose to represent themselves. This is the TDA Hatsune Miku model in Sketchfab, which I'm pretty sure is not allowed. Early VRChat humanoid avatars were mostly composed of ripped assets, the most popular of such being the TDA models. These are models made for MMD, Miku Miku Dance, where Miku would dance. People liked the look of the head, and it was easily accessible online by people doing exactly what this guy has done here. You saw these avatars everywhere, and they started a revolution of what people expected from avatars in VRChat. More anime, less what people had in these other games.
When I joined, it was a heavy emphasis on like anime style, like especially like the TDA or Tita heads, where it was it's cutesy, I'd say.
Run, Roo.
Now further changes and developments will happen in Second Life and IMVU from here on out, but I won't cover those. This video is about VRChat avatars, and what you will see over the next 3 to 4 years is a consistent influx of creators from IMVU and Second Life making their way over to VRChat. The reasons vary, but a consistent one is that VRChat simply allows you a more immersive experience that lets you insert yourself quite literally into this virtual world.
I used to do Mongolian throat singing when I was in music uni. My name is for like a little bit, and that was it.
VRChat's general humanoid avatar image largely changes based off what is widely available and popular at the time for creators to use in terms of 2 things. The base, which is the entire body, and the head. These 2 things make the entire avatar. Clothes can be whatever, it doesn't change the look as much. Hair, as well, can be whatever. In my experience, avatar perception is wholly situated on the body and the head, but mostly the head.
So we have on the menu, we have mushrooms, kimchi, rice, we have black label beer only, and some...
Okay, good.
That was the punchline.
Wow.
That was good. That was good.
Jesus Christ.
Early on, people would rip assets. The TDA head and body were quite popular. But these ripped assets became a problem very fast as the original creators got wind of it. You can't steal assets from others and upload them to VRChat expecting everything to be okay. And selling them? Absolutely not. So with a change in their TOS and a market opening up allowing people to make money off of making assets for others to kitbash, we start seeing a change. People editing MMD and Vroid assets to the point that they're unrecognizable and making their own. At this point right here, there was a split. A split between what direction people will go. And that split can be seen clearly through the Eastern audience and the Western audience. Where the Eastern audience continued on the same path of anime, never straying far from the TDA style until much later when booth bases became more prevalent, the Western audience thought differently. They saw the existing bases as too small, too childlike, not sexy enough, and built up their own style. But they never strayed too far from that origin of TDA bases. Not for a while. Panda Bear made his base, which had wide adoption somewhere in 2021. Alongside this, new heads came out from creators like, oh god, I'm gonna butcher these, Siseiya, Sleepy, who helped run through a general timeline, thank you Sleepy, and Cree. That split between the East and West also had another much simpler reason: language. These heads and bases were what we had available and easily searchable in English. But if you speak Japanese, you won't find them. Instead, you'll find what Japanese creators were making on Booth. This is the biggest reason for a separation of the two communities. If we all spoke the same language, or if we all had our products translated and uploaded to the same site, I truly believe this separation would have never happened. But in fact, 2021 was the year another split happened. At this point, you started to see the Western audience take two different approaches to humanoid avatars. The ones who stuck to a somewhat anime aesthetic, and those who drifted further into the realism aesthetic. Zinpia, my good friend, released the Zin head, and I think that head really inspired a lot of people to start taking a different direction when it comes to VRChat avatar styles. Zinpia, who came from IMVU.
I saw my stuff being used on VRChat and I was like, what the heck? Wait, how are they doing that? How are they taking my stuff and putting it on this game? And I was like really mad about it at first, but then I joined.
Taking the virus that infected that game in its entirety and carrying it over. This is where I would say the infection started.
I'm seeing a lot more realistic heads out there, kind of similar to the Second Life path. You know, it's leaning towards more hyper-realism and super refined, glossy, model-esque aesthetics.
More bases are released in a wide variety of shapes and sizes. The main one I remember being the Zinfit base in 2022, then the RP base in 2023. In fact, Zinpia has been the queen of bodies in this game for the entire time they have created for it. As of the time of creation, the E-Girl base is the most widely used base across the game. But that's the case for every avatar in the Western market. So the real difference does come down to the head. And the lighting.
Bald-headed man over there, bro. Kidding.
Rushing Derafog, 6'4", 240 pounds of muscle, stands over twin chromium, standing at a height of 5 foot.
Around the time that Zinpia released her own bodies, more creators came out making very popular heads, semi-realistic and anime. Saikura, Nikki, Starlin, 23 Mink, Nessie. Male bases are separate. For the longest time, there was really only a few options. What Zinpia released in 2021, the Aziki base, was one. Panda base, of course, then the Zinfit and RP base. Now what I see most being used is the Aki base. But the variety has extended even more. Now we have so many choices built upon the creations of the past. You can see even today many heads that have TDA-inspired looks. Many keep the anime aesthetic alive while embracing more risque and stylized outfits. Others pivot hard into realism and ignore all of that precedent, making their own thing. In fact, the reason for the exaggerated proportions aren't even the fault of these bases necessarily. People just sculpt them to make them look that way. Zinpia did not make those hips that wide. Akira VR did not make that waist that small. The person who makes the avatar controls how it will turn out. The base is just a base. You can mold it however you want.
Damn, this shit got aura.
What is
Yo,
this?
look at my aura right now. Look at my aura.
Dude, all the trees and grass are rotating.
One thing that VRChat has that the other platforms don't is a subtle limiter. You will never get the insane proportions of IMVU because unlike that game, which is viewed on a flat screen, in VRChat, people use the avatars in full body VR. The shoulder to hand ratio, the hip to foot ratio, has to be somewhat realistic. So the only insane proportions you might see are usually width-based. Bigger hips, bigger chest, bigger arms, smaller waist. This is the path we have taken, and how it's split up into different prevalent aesthetics. So we got all these different avatars now, but the truth is there to see. When you look at Jinxie, when you look at the avatar worlds available, it's clear to see that these realistic looking faces, these E-people style of exaggerated proportions and sexy clothes and too many tattoos and piercings, people want that to be what represents them in game. Why is that? Why do people have this tendency in every customizable social game to...
Sure.
Yeah?
Does it actually really matter? What if they just want to use these avatars?
I mean, no. No, it doesn't matter at all. I prefaced this whole thing in a way that made out using these specific types of avatars is a virus. That somehow people using a more anime style of avatar is somehow better. It isn't. There is an argument to be made about unrealistic expectations towards what people should look like in terms of proportions. But, well, that would be so hypocritical. This model uses Venus base, which is just as fucking bad as the e-girl edits people are making on these realistic style avatars. In fact, it's the same body for a lot of them. This isn't a virus on its own. This is a symptom of humanity. Humanity is the virus, but there's no cure for it. It's just how we are.
It's interesting because I was using a more realistic head a few years ago before that took over. The adoption wasn't there. People were almost revolted by like the uncanny valley aspect of it. So it's interesting to see that sort of transform into now that's sort of almost becoming a norm. It does sort of speak to like, well, why do we suddenly want to look more realistic? And before we were so accustomed to looking more anime cartoonish. But I'm not disappointed one way or another. It's just interesting.
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I hate to be the one to say it, but we, using this anime aesthetic in the West, are the odd ones out. We're the weird ones. When every other game has also gone in this realistic direction already, it makes you think that maybe the only reason we cling on to this other look is because of where we started out. If it weren't for the TDA heads, we probably would have gotten here a lot sooner. If you let people make a character look however they want, except for the furries, the Western world will make them look hot and semi-realistic. It's happened repeatedly in IMVU, in Second Life, and now it's happening in VRChat.
I mean, if you were to use Second Life as like a template, everyone looking kind of bizarre caricature were really results of limitations of what those features could provide at the time. And as those improved, people tended to lean more towards realism. I think that just stems from the fact that we want to express ourselves and as we see ourselves in real life in game. So that's just going to lean towards more realism because realism is what we know.
The whole argument and disagreements around what looks good and how we feel about people who use avatar styles different to ourselves is entirely a tribalistic mindset. You place yourself in one box, and you look at the other people and place them in their boxes. Then you see how some people who use those styles of avatars act, and you overlay that personality to everyone who uses a similar style of avatar. I do it just as much as everybody else. I see an e-boy acting like a douchebag in a public world, and I pair the avatar they are using, the way they look, with the way they act in my head. Then the next time I see somebody using a similar style avatar, I assume the same personality. E-people are overtly sexual, very judgmental, do not take no for an answer, get into constant drama and treat this game like a dating simulator. The more anime Western audience, previously known as the Gumroad look, now Jinxie, people who look like me, those people are all femboys, trans, or mutes. Generally try to avoid the E-people, and they all want to be either a streamer, a YouTuber, or a fansly content creator. And their favorite word is cheers. Booth users are the freakiest of the bunch behind closed doors, but the most wholesome in public, are way too into some form of tech and can't take a hint that you aren't interested when they talk about it, and they can't understand how anyone could ever use an avatar that isn't Booth. And they're mean about it. These are stereotypes I came up with right now based off my interactions with people using these avatars. But they aren't true. They are about some people, so even you probably agree to an extent. But I've met way more people that don't fit the bill compared to those that do. Yet that doesn't fit the tribalist mindset that we all want to default to. I'm going to say something really controversial to a lot of people, but there is very little difference between each of these styles. And most people who see them side by side, who don't get on the internet every day, will not be able to tell the difference for the most part. And even worse, normies on average choose the realistic one over the other options. And the uncanny feeling you get looking at the dead eyes of these avatars is largely mitigated by eye and face tracking. Once the Steam frame comes out, it'll all become a non-issue.
Ooh, feet. See, this might be me. This might be me. I mean, I'm also one of you guys, but...
There, with the shit.
Look. You care for I had a... We were at a toilet.
Hey, welcome to the reconnect you want, Seth. First time here. I totally forgot. I left my pen at home. Let me go grab it. The love of your life. Next just chill. Just chill and be present. Just having your presence, you know. It doesn't have to do anything. You know, you don't have to do anything. Just chill. Mellow out with us for a little bit. Call it a night.
Longo cries every time you get off there.
Come on, Dara, please.
So no, it doesn't matter, I guess. It doesn't matter. It is interesting though how we end up making exaggerated proportions. But it's all an inevitability, I suppose. Human nature, in a way. The only real argument that holds up is the fact that E-people avatars are mostly terribly unoptimized. But then I look at Booth users, and guess what? It's just as bad. These fuckers think they're so much better, yet they just throw things on and call it a day in Unity. Because everyone uses the same fucking bases, it makes it super easy. It's on average though, right? Fuck off.
Wear whatever the fuck you want, because at the end of the day, you're here to express yourself, not express yourself how you think people think you should express yourself. Otherwise, what's the point? There's trends, there will always be trends, and they will come and go. So enjoy whatever you want.
I used to hang out with people who now I know use the E-people style of avatar. I very well could have been still hanging out with them, and I'd be that E-boy bothering you in the B club. But I didn't.
I'm sorry I'm late. I'm sorry I'm late.